So Tony Perkins is one of those pro-family evangelical Christians. You hear a lot about those people. They're massively in favor of Donald Trump. In fact, Perkins himself, big fan of Trump. Now, he also runs the Family Research Council, which is one of those basically anti-LGBT, anti-abortion hate groups, right? They call themselves family groups. They love ripping families apart and love making sure that, again, if you're a gay family, for example, then you can't adopt kids. So lovely people, right? Definitely in favor of the family. Now, I always thought it was a little strange that members of the Christian right would ally themselves with somebody who doesn't seem to be very Christian. I mean, for example, Donald Trump in his personal life. Not to get too much into it, but he's had divorces, he's had affairs. Look, I don't really care about that stuff. I'm a progressive. I don't really judge people on that. I don't think that that's a moral argument against him. I'd rather definitely, go against him when it comes to fitness of office or policy concerns. But nonetheless, again, not my business. So recently it was alleged that Donald Trump had another affair. Again, who cares? It's not really getting all that much media attention, the affair itself, which is fine. Now, there's some things about the alleged affair which are interesting, like, for example, the $130,000 payoff. That's fascinating. Now, Stormy Daniels back in 2011 detailed a 2006 affair in an interview with In Touch magazine. So we learned a lot of unsavory things that I don't want to really repeat about Trump and his, supposed affair. Okay. But the interesting thing is allegations, since even though they've been around for a while, just weeks before the election, Daniels was allegedly paid off by Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen. Apparently they didn't want this getting out. Okay. I could understand, right? If you're a Republican, you're obviously thrust into you're held to a higher moral standard. You should be held to a higher moral standing according to their own doctrine. Again, if you're somebody who's pro-family, moral, all that stuff, well, then that's what Republicans are supposedly looking for. I mean, I'm not a Republican voter. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but from what I could tell, Republicans tend to look to somebody with some sort of higher moral standing. They always say that liberals have no morals and we're ungodly and, all that stuff. And that's why we're not fit for office. So if you're going to go with somebody, then you would theoretically choose somebody that holds up to those ideals. Apparently, Donald Trump doesn't seem to do so. Or at least, when it comes to evangelical voters and their morality and things like that, you would expect that they would support somebody who is a paragon of morality. At least you would expect, right? In reality, they don't care because they're actually not moral people. Now, Tony Perkins basically admitted that in an interview with Politico, that he didn't actually care about any of that. And the evangelical voters don't actually care if there's anybody out there that shares their values that is in power. Let me show you. Here's a quote, right? Asked about how they could support Trump, knowing that he might have possibly had an affair with Stormy Daniels. He said, quote, "We kind of gave him, all right, you get a mulligan. You get a do-over here. So basically, allegedly cheat with your wife, and we don't care. Mulligan. Mulligan for you, do-over. What about getting divorced 3 times? You're not supposed to get divorced in the Bible, right? Mulligan, mulligan, mulligan. Constant lying. I mean, that's one of the things that you shouldn't be doing if you're a good Christian, right? You shouldn't lie to people. No, mulligan. Mulligan. So nothing but do-overs here from the evangelical right, and I'm going to explain why. But it is really interesting how they're just willing to let all this stuff go. So, I mean, could you imagine, right? A Democrat, for example, say a Democrat, is like, hey, oh, look, I ended up having an affair, right? Or the media finds out and reports, hey, Barack Obama had an affair with a mistress, with a porn star, how do you think the right would react? Immoral. God, we got to get this guy out of here. He's so immoral. He's tarnishing the office of the president. And when it comes to Trump, what do we have? Basically silence. There's a bit of a double standard here, right? But see, they do that because this isn't about Christian values. Perkins actually explains what it's really about. He says, Perkins says that evangelical Christians are tired of being kicked around by Barack Obama and his leftists. I wish Barack Obama had surrounded himself with actual leftists. Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe we would have actually gotten some leftist policy, like Medicare for all or a higher minimum wage. You know, policy things that are actually super important. But no, Barack Obama's like, oh, $9 an hour minimum wage, $10 an hour minimum wage, maybe 12. I mean, maybe we should look at 12 at some point in the future. No, bitch, we need a living wage. We need it now. So, I wish he was as leftist as they said, as they claim that he is. But Perkins continues. He says, I think they're finally glad that there's somebody on the playground that is willing to punch the bully. Well, who's the bully? You're going to love this. Not Trump that's the bully, who started his campaign calling Mexicans and Muslims, Mexicans rapists and murderers, right? And, demagoguing against Muslims. That's how he started his campaign. And then, of course, he's had Twitter feuds, and he's called former, Lisa Machado, I believe that was her name, Miss Piggy and Miss Housekeeping. No, but that's not bullying behavior. Right. No. It's the leftists and Barack Obama. We're the bullies, the people that are actually fighting for LGBT folks, for equal rights. That's being a bully. That's bullying the Christian right. Supporting the rights for women to choose? No, that's bullying. Not only that, but you're a baby killer. I'm not sure he understands what bullying actually means. Look, what Perkins and evangelicals have been doing all this time has been denying people's basic civil rights based on sexual orientation. That's their big thing, right? We're going to focus on the family. We're the Family Research Council, and what we do is research on ways to hate gay people. That's what this is about. Look, they also believe that their right is trying to deny people the ability to believe in other gods. That's unconstitutional. So Isaac DeVore spoke to Perkins in this political interview, and he said, hey, man, look, you're talking about punching people in the face. I thought Jesus was about turning the other cheek. What about turning the other cheek? Perkins says, quote, you only have two cheeks. Instantly, my mind, the way that it goes, I thought of ass cheeks. But that's just me. He said, look, Christianity is not about being a welcome mat which people can just stomp their feet on. Look, here's the thing, right? In no way is Christianity being stomped on, right? Remember, most public office is being held by Christians. Christians are a majority of this country. Now, that does not mean we are a Christian nation. We're just a nation full of Christians, okay, with majority Christians. Yet this majority, some in this majority, the right-wing evangelicals, the so-called silent generation, that's what they call themselves, even though they're really fucking loud, they thrive on persecution, this persecution complex. Oh, the liberals are coming for us. The atheists are coming for us. The Muslims are coming for us. Everybody's coming for us. Right? Be afraid. Be afraid. Be afraid. No, we're not coming for you. What's going on is that people who are generally oppressed by these religious groups are actually standing up and asserting their rights under the Constitution. Equal rights. Okay? And look, not only that, but look, Christianity, yes, it is based in this victimhood complex, but the thing that Christianity teaches is that, hey, look, if you're meek, you will inherit the earth, right? So if you're good to people, if you're nice to people, if you render unto Caesar what's Caesar's, you should do all that stuff, right? You're not supposed to be violent, but of course, they don't get that memo. No, what's going on is Christians, they've had power in this country, and now some of them are upset that people, that people that traditionally didn't have that power are now getting some of that power, and they feel like they're left out. And you've got Perkins and the people who follow him that are desperately trying to hold on. And of course, they have invested in the single worst person, Donald Trump. This is a president that doesn't care about their values. Basically, he uses them for a voting block, and they're very, very loyal to him when he's not loyal to them at all. Again, he's going to lie, cheat, and steal. He's a con man, and we've proven that over and over again. He's a con man that only cares about himself. But then again, you could say the same things about some of these televangelists and some of these so-called Christian right leaders, that they too lie, cheat, and steal, and only care about themselves and their own power. So maybe they're more similar than I thought. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.